This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back, everybody. If this hasn't affected you, it will at some point in your life. And it's something that is challenging for all of us when it does happen. And I'm talking about grief, dealing with grief. And many of us right away, you have the picture of a loved one, somebody close to you passing, but it doesn't have to be just that. It could be the loss of a relationship, loss of a job, just a change. Essentially, something that you lost can cause grief. How do you power through that? How do you support somebody who is going through it? We're going to talk to somebody today that offers that support many times. Many times we don't even know we're grieving. Many times we think we've gone through it and we're good. And we're going to talk about that, all different types of loss and more. She is an advanced grief recovery specialist. She's Crystal Givens, and she joins us today on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, Steve. And how about you?
Real good. Happy, gratified that you're here, because many of us have this perception, misconception of grief and dealing with it. And there's lots to talk about here. But when we talk about grief in general, am I getting it right that it could be any situation that can leave you with grief?
Absolutely. We experience grief when there's any type of change, and it could be a positive change. Let's say I moved from Colorado and moved to Hawaii. I mean, that would be exciting. That's a good change. But I would miss everything familiar here I have in Colorado. When we moved here from LA to Colorado, my kids were grieving their bedrooms.
Wow. And I'm not surprised, but I didn't even think of, I'm not minimizing anything, but those littler things where there's a loss. So they lost their room, their bedroom. They got another one, but it's not the same one. And there's memories connected to it and attached to it. Wow. That's an eye opener. I never thought of that.
Yeah, there's so many, like you were saying, there's so many different types of losses. And most times we don't even know we're grieving. We just think carrying emotional pain is normal. That's what we need to do. No, we weren't created to carry the weight of emotional pain. And that's what grief is. It's unresolved emotional pain. And when we don't have the right tools or support on how to recover and heal from it, it stays inside of us, it accumulates, and it leads to very destructive things. I mean, road rage is real. People don't start their day driving to work filled with road rage. Something happens and they go off. I guarantee something bigger is going on in their lives, and we take it out on everyday life.
Wow. I've kind of reframed that situation where, somebody cut you off. Nothing happened. They just, cut you off. I used to be like, "Bah!" Now it's like, you know what? I wish them well. I don't know what they're going through. They may have just gotten a phone call that was disturbing. Maybe they're working 3 jobs because they need to support their family and they just didn't mean to make a turn in front of you, whatever it might be. I cut them some slack to your point. You don't know what somebody else is going through, but I have to tell you, I'm seeing this in a whole different light. Back to your kids. So is it reasonable to think that all of us are grieving a lot of stuff, big and small, and don't even realize it? And I call it the emotional backpack. We're carrying that back on our back all the time.
I love that you mentioned backpack, because I teach that to my clients a lot, because we all have a backpack, emotional backpack, like you said. So when we're little, I remember my bike got stolen. Ouch, that was my favorite green 10-speed. But what did we do? We replaced and got a new one. But I was hurt that somebody stole my bike. So we never talked about it. So that was a little pebble in my backpack. And then let's say in grade school, you get picked on or bullied. Another pebble. Romantic breakup, another pebble. A move, a change in your job, a change in your health. That backpack starts quickly filling up from childhood till current, or where we are now. And it gets heavier and heavier because we've never been taught how to process, deal with painful situations, or really have someone support us when we're hurt. Because everyone wants to fix us. Oh, don't feel bad. Sorry, your bike got stolen. We'll go get you another one. Well, okay, thank you. But, or let's say your dog died. Well, let's go to the Humane Society. We'll get another one. Don't feel bad. We just replace it. And if we don't deal with that unique relationship we had with that animal, that pain stays inside of us.
Wow.
And it prevents us from being able to fully love and take care of the new dog that comes into our life.
It can have life-changing, lifelong effects. Like when you mentioned let's say you got bullied and that was, big in your life back then as a kid, you're holding on to that and you may have feelings of not being worthy enough. All of that could be going on there.
Yes, I remember like yesterday, a client, she was an elderly woman. She came to me with some childhood losses. And that very thing happened when she was in kindergarten, got bullied on the playground. She was carrying the weight and the other situations that happened around that all of her life. And it was affecting her health. But when she released it, she completely changed right in front of me. She felt free and she was able to move past what had happened.
Wow. I have to tell you, Crystal, this is a big eye opener for us all where, yeah, okay, so grieving the major things, loss of somebody, maybe a job, maybe somebody's not aware that you could be grieving that, certainly a
Right.
relationship, on and on and on. But even the smaller things on a day-to-day basis, another pebble in the back, another pebble in the back, um, for the smaller things, for the smaller things, is it, does it come down to just talking about it?
That's part of it.
Okay.
But let's say something happens at work, your boss comes in and says something really hurtful. You might not be able to talk to them directly and resolve it. But the tools I teach my clients, they can deal with it, recover from it, be able to move on and not let that affect their working relationship with their boss. I I'm just not a grief recovery specialist right now with you, Steve. I am this 24/7. It's being emotionally honest and having the tools on what to do when I get hurt, when I get disappointed, when I'm going through one of my losses, rather than stuffing it or going out to do something to make me feel better.
Hmm. I've heard that there are call them the five stages of grief. Conflicting reports on that. We should follow them. You really shouldn't. They're not really applicable. What are your thoughts there?
Well, thanks for asking that because the founders of the Grief Recovery Institute, who actually developed this program, John W. James knew Dr. Kubler-Ross, and he learned the back end story of that. She wrote the five stages of grief, which were really called the five stages of dying. Those stages were written to people who received a terminal diagnosis, like you have 10 days to live. Well, if somebody told me that, I would go into denial. But if I see somebody die right in front of me, I'm not denying that. Oh my gosh, they just died, right? So the stages of grief have caused so much confusion.
Yes.
And therapists have tried to put their patients in one of those stages or boxes, and it does more hurt, more harm. So we do not endorse any stages of grief because grief is individual and unique for everyone.
Completely. And I'm glad you said that. And I can't even remember what the stages are because I've abolished them from my memory. Because to
Mhm.
your point, you go, now I'm at stage three, but I'm taking too long. And every situation is different. It's not one size fits all. And I didn't know that that was for the passing of someone.
Yes,
Doesn't apply to the rest of the stuff that we're talking about here.
it doesn't. And
Hmm.
those stages make sense. You want to bargain, you have a hard time accepting it, but no, again, since grief is our normal and natural reaction to loss, we all grieve differently. When my grandma died, I felt relief because she was no longer in pain, but I also felt sadness.
Mm.
Grief is there's conflicting emotions with grief. Again, like you said, Steve, there's no one size fits all. Even if you and I have the same identical losses, I would have no idea what you're feeling or going
No,
through
no.
because it's your relationship with them.
And that's the word, relationship. Is it safe to assume for many of us that, grandma passed away, mine passed away, I was, 14, 16, somewhere around there. That I could still be deep inside, have a little bit of grief still unresolved. And is it ever resolved in these situations?
Yes. Well, what this work is, it's getting emotionally complete with the relationship, what we wish we had done differently, better, or more. It's not forgetting the person, but it's dealing with all the anything else we wanted to say or the things I wish I didn't say. Like for my grandma when she died, I really regretted not having more time with her. But I was able to deal with those little triggers that stick in our heart in a relationship, the things that keep coming up and we're going over and over and over again in our mind, things we can't shake.
Isn't it amazing that those things don't go away? Those memories you have. Like as soon as you say it, I can tell you right now, my Uncle Bill walked in, spring day, birds are singing, sun is out, and he says to me and my sister about my grandmother passing. Now, she had been in the hospital, but he assumed we knew. We did not know. I'll never forget that day. And every time I hear Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty, don't know if you remember that song.
Yeah.
That was around the time that she passed, and her last name was Rafferty. So whenever I hear that song, it just boop, takes me right back. It's a memory. And it's not, not such a bad memory, except for the surprise of not knowing. But like you say, it could be unresolved things that, many of us. Would you say that in some shape and form, if somebody has passed, and even if you think, I'm good with it, I'm good with it, there's probably little pieces of grief still in the backpack
Yes.
decades later.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we don't take time to pause, reflect, and search our hearts. Like, what am I really feeling here?
Mm.
Because when we start to feel the pain, that's uncomfortable and we don't know what to do with it. And that's when it gets very messy and tangled up and interferes with how we're living.
What's the first step? Let's say, obviously, if it's something major, somebody needs, support, that's you. But for the rest of us, those little things that you might think you have a little memory, floating around back there. Is it impactful to journal, write it down, get your thoughts out? What do you think?
I say yes to all of those. Um,
Hmm.
Having a safe person to listen to, I can't emphasize this enough. And what I mean by having a safe person is somebody who will listen to you, not interrupt you, not try to fix you, not give you advice, but just let you be, let you cry, let you shout, whatever you're feeling, that they can hold that space for you.
Hmm. Um, Crying, real important, isn't it?
Yes.
Tell us.
Tears are a gift. It's our way of honoring the person or grieving the person. It's our body releasing emotional pain. I love teardrops. It Every teardrop is important. And unfortunately, society don't cry. Well, I'm sorry, I'm crying. No,
Yeah.
it's part of us being human. We are emotional beings. And the fact that we can cry, dogs can't cry, a horse can't cry, but we can,
For a
you know.
reason. And I also hear it's a chemical release when you cry. There's a reason that,
Yeah,
we weren't designed to be sad. I don't think that's why we're here. Um,
right.
but that supports us.
It does. But I just want to push back on that. No, we're not designed to be sad, but we're designed to feel the whole spectrum of emotions.
Sure.
But again, people are so uncomfortable when we're sad. But who's happy and, skipping along every day? I mean, trouble comes, loss happens. And if we could just be supported and honored and given the right information on what to do, rather than everyone trying to fix us and tell us, well, you should be over it by now. No.
Mm. What's your story? Everybody's got a story. Love hearing them. How did you get to the point where you support people with loss and grief?
Well, I never planned on this. This was
Mm.
not my college degree. But when I was in LA, my children were very young. I just emotionally started to come undone. I was angry. I was bitter. I was super anxious. I didn't know what was going on. I just felt overwhelmed, and I knew I needed help, but I didn't know where, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And a friend, thank goodness, he said, "Well, I'm starting a grief group next week. Why don't you come check it out?" I go, "I'm not grieving. Nobody just died. Why are you asking me?" And he looked me in the eye. He said, "Crystal, trust me. Come." So I trusted him and I went. And I sat in his living room the first week with my arms crossed, like, "Oh, I don't belong here.
Mm.
I'm fine." But I soon discovered I wasn't fine. I realized I had been bearing all the emotional pain towards my mom because my mom had been emotionally absent all my life. And I kept hoping, expecting, thinking she's going to help me with my children because I didn't know how to be a mom. And she didn't. I kept hoping, thinking, and she didn't show up. And that was like a knife in my heart, pushing me deeper into my pain. And then I would go into my head, well, I shouldn't be surprised. Nothing's changed. Just deal with it, Crystal. Just move on. But I couldn't. Those emotions were bubbling out of me. So anyway, I went through this program and I discovered all the specific things I was feeling towards her. I got the tools on how to heal and recover, and most importantly, let go of
Mm.
all that pain that I didn't realize I was carrying. And the change, Steve, when I finished that program, it's indescribable. There's like this shift in my body. I literally felt back, like emotionally present. And I just saw my children through a different lens. Like, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful to be a mom. And I was happy. I could go on and on. I just don't know how else to describe it. Oh, and also I remember feeling compassion for my mom. I'd never felt compassion for her. But
Mm.
that wasn't to excuse what had happened. But when I got all the pain out of me, I could look at her differently. It hasn't changed our relationship. She's still alive, but it changed me. It changed the way I raise my children. And I knew that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. People need this. Everybody's a griever. Everyone can benefit from learning this information. It's life changing.
I want
So,
to say it again. This is such a, and thank you for sharing. This is a, this puts a whole new spotlight on what grief is and what loss is. And what you just described, I would never look at it through the lens of grief. I would look at it as you you have things from your childhood that were unresolved, and that's still floating out there, and that's now you have to parent your children. We're only, as parents, we're only good as our parents were. That's the manual. It never showed up for me. I was looking in the mailbox. If it was online, that was my youngest is 17. That was years ago. I didn't get that email. And they pilot from their parents. Um, in your situation with your mom, and when you were a child, the loss. What was the loss there?
of never feeling a mother's love. I
Whoa,
have no idea what that is.
whoa, wow.
Yeah. So I grew up scrappy, fighting. I was I was the bully on the playground, full disclosure, because I was so angry. I didn't know what to do with everything I was feeling. So man, yeah. So I isolated a lot, kept to myself, didn't trust people. Yeah, that really was hard. And so when I found this program, I'm like, I knew how to raise my children differently. And I tease them to this day, you guys are going to need therapy because I loved you too much.
Good problem to have, though.
Yeah.
Good problem to have.
Yeah.
Wow. This is it really, again, it's an eye opener because I've done lots of podcasts with therapists, um, hypnotherapists, where you go back in your childhood. I've done it before with hypnotherapy and realizing what's I call it connecting the dots. Why do you act the way you act now? It goes back to your childhood. Majority of it, 0 to 7 and all of that in your subconscious, and all good, scientifically proven. You've proven it in talking today about it, but never looking at it as loss and grieving.
Yes. I apologize for interrupting. And please know I'm all for therapy. I mean,
Sure.
I'm under that umbrella, mental health. But what happens is we want a label. So my label could be, oh, I grew up in a dysfunctional family. And, we accept those labels because we want to understand. But grief is not intellectual, it's all emotional. And when we get these labels affixed to us, oh, I'm a widower, I'm a survivor, rather than I went through a horrible time with cancer, I'm on the other side of it, I don't want a label. I want to live. And when
Mm,
we have those labels affixed to us, it limits our growth. And we just kind of stay in that little, that becomes our identity.
yeah. Whoa. My mind is spinning right now because I never looked at it this way. But it goes to show that we need to go deep inside all of us and see where the grief may be. It's not if, it's where, because we all have it in many different ways based on what you're saying here. Hmm.
Really right.
Yeah, I'm going to share it because you shared. I'll laser this down. I went on a retreat, a men's retreat, way out of my wheelhouse. Would never do anything like that. Signed up for it, just went. What am I doing? This is almost a little over a year ago, and 300 men from around the world, essentially. And one of the things they said was, whether you like your dad or not, whether you have any issues, you are to think about the things that he did for you and what he left you with. And I did, and I kind of made amends with a lot. My parents got divorced when I was barely even born, didn't see him a lot, all of that. Then he suddenly dropped and died when I was 21. So I'm sure there's lots to unpack there. The reason I'm bringing it up is I believe in things do happen for a reason. And the last day of that retreat, I realized, oh my gosh, today's his birthday. Would have been. I didn't even know because I kind of forgot about all that stuff. And I was like, there's a reason I'm here to unpack it, think about it, talk about it, and forgive maybe, and move past some of the grief.
Yes.
Mm. But it's being aware. Like if I didn't think about that, it's going within and seeing where your challenges are, and then reaching out to somebody like you to get support, to figure it out.
Exactly. The awareness is the first step,
Yeah.
Steve. And people don't like to check in with themselves, what's really going on. We bury ourselves in work, food, exercise, relationships. We run from the pain rather than facing it head on.
So true. How do we find you?
On my website, it's ebbandflowcos.com, or people can email me at crystal@ebbandflowcos.com.
COS stands for?
Colorado Springs.
Oh, okay. There you go. Thank you for today. And I think in songs, things drop in my head. I've been playing music on the radio for, I want to tell you how many decades. So I think in music, what dropped in my head just now? REM. Everybody Hurts.
Oh,
We do.
yes.
We do. We have to, let's admit it now and do something about it. And as you say, move forward after loss, because we've all suffered loss, sometimes on a daily basis, but we need to accept that and work through it.
Yeah, let's rip the Band-Aid off, get real, do some emotional work, dig in. It's not forever,
Right.
but it will affect us forever if we don't do something different and get the right information.
Your superpower is making things clear and easy to understand. Because some of the stuff is sad, but I don't get a feeling of sadness from you. I get a feeling of hope.
Yes. And Why I love what I do, Steve, is because I've been able to repurpose all of my losses and I'm on the other side of them and I'm living, I'm happy. I'm not, so I give people hope that, hey, I've been through this. This is how I can help you. Let's get on the other side of it.
Well, like I said, things happen for a reason. Maybe that stuff, as painful as it was, happened for a reason to get you here to help others move their life forward.
I'd be honored. I
Uh,
just
Crystal,
love doing this.
thank you so much for today. Reframed all of this for me, and I'm sure others. And appreciate it. Looking forward next time we get together.
Me too. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.